Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Hope you guys are having a good day. Today we're going to take a slight break from the coding, and I'm going to use this time to address the most common question that I get on the YouTube channel. And you guys probably know what that question is already. And the question is, why don't I use storyboards to build out any of my YouTube tutorials? So I have listed out here top 10 reasons why I've stopped using storyboards. But first, before I start with the list, I just want to tell you that I used to be a full-time storyboard developer myself for about a year and a half probably. And I really found myself pulling away from the storyboard the moment the app became more and more sophisticated. And also as the designs for the app grew more and more creative, it was very difficult to maintain the application. So let's go ahead and get started with reason number 10 right now. Okay, so reason number 10, probably not that big of a deal, but laying out subviews that are on top of each other is painfully difficult and most of the time impossible. So when you have a large view right here, and then you have a subview underneath it, if you try to adjust where that view lands behind that larger subview, it gets very, very confused if you are trying to put it in that subview or behind that subview. So very, very frustrating. So reason number 9, removing IB outlets and IB actions will cause mysterious and very unforgiving crashes in your app. So a lot of you guys probably know this already, but when you refactor your code to change the name of your IB outlets and IB actions, the moment you hit that screen when you launch your app, the application will crash on you and the error message that you get is pretty cryptic. So I would try to avoid that as much as possible. Okay, so moving on to number 8, let's talk about string identifier values. So for example, when you register your cell IDs under a certain string and also storyboard IDs with a certain string, if someone goes into your storyboard and modifies that string value, your application is also going to crash. So reason number 7, I've noticed that the compile time for your application increases as the storyboard becomes more and more complicated. And at the same time, I've noticed that if you code out everything, the compile time stays really, really fast almost always. Okay, so number 6, this is kind of design related. If you try to refactor elements inside of a storyboard, I find that it takes way too much time because all of the clicking involved inside of the storyboard. So for example, if you have a bunch of controllers spread out all across multiple storyboards, and if you want to change the font for all of the labels on perhaps the buttons and your text views, that's going to take you a lot of time. All right, next we have reason number 5. I find that productivity, for me at least, decreases when my hands leave the keyboard. So as a full-time developer and a programmer, I've noticed I'm most efficient if I'm able to type out everything that I need to type out on the keys because it's precise and I know exactly what's going on. Okay, so reason number 4, I find this to be one of the most frustrating things about the storyboard. And I noticed that when I work on my laptop on a train, which is pretty often, trying to drag things onto that little small viewport on my 15-inch MacBook Pro is so difficult and frustrating. And what I've noticed in my bootcamp is that certain students have 13-inch and 11-inch MacBook Airs, and trying to watch them figure out how to use the storyboard is just so painful. All right, moving on to reason number 3. This isn't really a reason for you guys not to use a storyboard, but for me, what I find is that it's almost impossible for me to record the storyboard on the left and then the simulator on the right, because I want to record a video that's as entertaining as possible and as smooth as possible for you guys to watch. And doing that really requires fine precision, right? And the storyboard doesn't have fine precision because it involves a lot of dragging and dropping, and all those drop downs that you have to click through just doesn't allow for fine precision. So reason number 2 is really, really important to me as a teacher, because I find that when you're trying to teach someone iOS programming, it's very important that they understand what's really going on. Now, if you're teaching through the storyboard, while they kind of understand how to put things together, if you try to ask them, like, explain to me how this really works, a lot of students won't really be able to explain to you how, for example, a data source and a cell ID, how that all comes together to build out an application. All right, now finally we have reason number 1 as to why I don't use storyboards, and it's the same reason why a lot of professionals don't use storyboards as well. And the reason is because of merge conflicts. Now, what happens in the professional environment is that you have a couple of different developers working on the same project, and most of the times you'll find that they are working on the same storyboard file at the same time. And what's going to occur is that when you merge all of that code together, you're going to run into merge conflicts. Now, merge conflicts themselves are not a bad thing inherently, but the issue arises when you try to resolve those merge conflicts between storyboard changes. It's almost impossible, and it's very, very difficult to find the correct resolution. And the reason is because the storyboard code is generated in a way that makes it very hard for humans like you and I to read. So trying to resolve those conflicts, it's very difficult, and if you can avoid that issue as much as possible, you should definitely do so. Okay, so that's it for today. I already know I'm gonna get a lot of flame in the comments below, but so be it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.